Anyone who remembers District 6 cannot walk down the cobbled remains of Cross Street, Arundel or Dover Street without feeling overwhelmed by a deep sense of loss and regret. Where once there was happiness, love, music, children, racial harmony, but most of all, a place where people lived as a people, there is now a wasteland, an open wound haunted by memories, empty streets, piles of rubble, and a few defiant churches and mosques are all that remain. In 1966, the Group Areas Act, which designates residential areas on a racial basis, was applied to District 6. This multiracial area was declared a white group area. Everyone living there was forced to move, and as houses were vacated, they were bulldozed. Today, 20 years later, this scar on the slopes of Table Mountain remains a symbol of an inhumane law. District 6 will always be a memory, and as a tribute to that memory, District 6, the musical, has been created.
The people, they call me Damaka. I am blind. Lived here a long time with my mother. She's old now, much older than me. In winter, her cough is bad. When the southeaster blows, her bones ache. Children? Yeah, she has many children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. They love to listen to her stories and her songs. Yeah, she sings. They are proud of her when she remembers and when she laughs. And those who know her well love and respect her. Her name, District 6. But there are those who speak unkindly, those that have abused her, stolen from her, forgotten her. Her ugliness embarrasses them. Her sickness frightens them. She smells, they say. She has fleas. And far away, across the gray river, are the people who have learned the magic of living with no heart. A powerful people who say, yes, she is a problem, but for this problem we have a plan, and so we will make laws, and the law will deal with the problem.
I was not prepared for the incredible impact of the thing on you as you sit there. I mean, I remember the emotions in my own inside of me that night. I was completely enwrapped by the whole thing. I was angry, very angry, thinking of what the success was and what the government has done with it. Think of what had happened to the people, the willful breaking up of a community like that, and that it could have been saved, and it was destroyed quite deliberately. I was very sad. I cried a lot because you think there's no way that you can cope with all of the emotions, and I laughed. I recognized so much of what I had almost forgotten. And I had forgotten not District 6 and what had happened to District 6, but I had forgotten the feelings that are always created in one when one thinks of District 6. I had forgotten the meaning of the music. I had forgotten the message of its non-racialism of the people there, because you sort of blot it out of your own mind in a way. It's been an incredible tragedy that District 6 has been destroyed. But there was another tragedy over and above the destruction of that place. It was the destruction of a part of our heritage there. The music of the Cape is something that I had forgotten about.
Say who's the type blue, I got the new tattoo. It's a teardrop down my cheek. You see my breast, it's called an overseas. I had it cut in jail last week. Cause I'm a looker, I play snooker. I get stoned on cheap white wine. So crew, come and check these words on my neck. They say cut on the dotted line. We are the sexy boys. Hello, unemployed.
If the musical had not come with its very genuine portrayal of our people as we used to live in that place, if the musical had not come with its incredible sensitivity in picking up all of the very, very human things that were destroyed, that were undermined, that were thrown into table bay, so to speak, by the government's callous actions with regard to that community.
I remember myself coming back from Europe, coming from overseas, where I'd been for quite some time, in order to try and recapture my past, and coming along here and then finding this part completely annihilated, and the tremendous anger that I felt surging up inside me when I felt that what they had done was more than throw down houses. They destroyed a community, and they destroyed me, and they destroyed my past. And I felt the strong feelings of what right at any man whatsoever to take away the past of any other person.
To save them from the bulldozers. They're going to dig them up anyway, so they might as well give it to me. I can put it in my sister's garden. That's why I was going to the council now to ask them permission, so that I can keep the steps.
And what about my permission?
Who means you, huh?
The 7 steps, of course, my territory. Nobody's going to touch those steps unless I say so.
So why didn't you tell that to the government, huh? If they knew you didn't like it, I think they would have stopped immediately.
Bam! Los zijn net die steps uit. Dis my headquarters time. And nobody's going to move me or the sexy boy.
Ah, put that one! Are you blind, eh? Look around you!
Let them come with their bloody bulldozers and the front end loaders. He play us. This is my place. I'm the council here. And as long as I'm still here, Pang, nothing or nobody is going to touch those steps. Verstaan jy?
And we were then moved out to the wild desolation, broken bricks, the sand of the Cape Flats, and District 6 then just became a memory. But now with its revitalization through the musical, through books, through people writing about it, youngsters are starting to appreciate what it's all about. I gave a lecture this morning where students of mine who didn't know District 6 but their parents had, made very strong mention of the fact that they knew about it. They didn't know itself, but having seen the musical, having read books, they're starting to recapture their past.
So what is it you want to know?
I need your name, what you do, where you live, your race group, and so on.
And then what will you do?
Well, the board will use this information to allocate you alternative accommodation.
Some location. Far away on the Cape Flats, I suppose.
Well, that's not for me to say. The board will decide.
The board will decide. The board will decide. The board will take a blind man from the home he was born, take him from this place that he knows, and dump him somewhere far away, anywhere, doesn't matter, where everyone's a stranger, and every street's the same, because why? Because you are all mad.
But don't you get cheeky with me, boy.
Is there something we can do for you, mister?
Brucci, Bekia is mine.
Say! Look, you must understand it's not me that wants this information, it's the board. I'm only doing my job.
Look, you ugly piece of shark shit. I know what your job is. You see those bulldozers down the road? They're also doing their job. The same job that you do.
Well, I'm afraid the law's the law. There's nothing I can do about it. It's the law of the country.
The government's a lawyer, but you ask us when you make these laws. So don't come now with your fucking questions.
Look, I've got work to do.
Maybe one could describe District 6 as a piece of desolate land at the moment over a vast cemetery. And a cemetery, I think, in which bigotry and non-understanding, inhumanity is not buried but pushed below the earth.
We have tended to forget that in the Cape you have a blend of music that I think is quite unique. You have to go to places like Brazil or the islands to find a blend of music that is a little bit European and African and something and some ingredients that you won't find anywhere else, and that was the music of the Cape. And as a boy, we used to sing the music, we used to enjoy the music. I remember walking behind the coons when I was a kid of 10, 11 years old. And then all of a sudden, And in the 1960s, at the very time that the government actually was planning to destroy District 6 and to take the community away from there, they did another thing. They actually claimed the culture of the so-called colored people in the Cape for propaganda, political purposes. They did as if all of what we could produce culturally could be placed in the separate so-called colored box and tainted. It was really tainted. And for me, as a young boy growing up and beginning to understand the political ramifications of all of this, my first reaction was then, in resistance to this, to reject the music of the Cape, to reject, therefore, a lot of what District 6 stood for at the time. And it never played a role again in my life. I would not even think of going to a festival where this music would be heard. And what District 6 did for me was to all of a sudden say, hey, what have you done? This music may have been claimed by the government, but it doesn't belong to you. This music may have been tainted by the government, but it cannot really be taken out of the hearts and the lives of the people who created this music and made it something so beautiful. And that was something that I sat there that night and I thought, my goodness, I can actually listen to this music. I can be taken up in this music. I can be swept away by the music in a way that forever, I think, has sort of transformed the political thing that the government wanted to make of the music and the people of the Cape. That's over now, and I think that is something that could only have been done by District 6.
This show is an international blockbuster, and that's not just the producer's blarney. It has proved it here, and I believe it will prove it elsewhere, because it has the components of entertainment and a strong message. The message is that people are just people everywhere. And in Cape Town, the star of this show is District 6. The people were treated like rocks and rubble, and that is the emotional climax which proves the greatness of the show District 6.
If the musical had not come and had revitalized the music, recaptured what we have almost lost, and it's such a tragedy to think that such an incredible heritage, a part of our culture, had almost been lost forever. And the musical retrieved it, salvaged it, and placed it within the solid framework of political reality, coming with a political message. It's a musical of resistance, but it's also a musical of celebration.
Kana, 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 kia, ina,